is that when somebody dies, it's a sign of felicity. It's a sign of the fact that he's in good books of God. The number of people who come to say this intercessional prayer for him. So what we shall be doing, we call the Salatul Janaza. Salatul Janaza is the funeral intercessionary prayer, where we pray to intercede on behalf of the departed, calling on God to give him his mercy and grant him forgiveness. And so the chief man will lead us, and with the forming of a row behind him, we will. This prayer will be a bit of departure from the normal routine prayer that we do, which involves certain bodily movements, what we call genuflections, where we bow, we prostrate, and then come back again. This will be a departure from that kind of norm. This one will remain standing, but at intervals, you will hear the chief imam will say, Allahu Akbar, having declared intention for us to seek God's mercy and forgiveness for the departed. He will raise his hand this way and say, Allahu Akbar. This is made up of 4 takbirs. That is four rounds of the takbir. Yeah, so he will say the prayer, then he will raise his hand, Allahu Akbar. Then he goes to the second round, then we'll say Allahu Akbar. He does so until we got 4 rounds. And the final one will say Assalamu alaikum. And then once we do so, nothing also follows immediately except that we carry him to where we do the burial. And at the burial site, we also say the prayer. And then we come back to the family and continue to sympathize until we fix. Depending on the tradition, some will say that after death, the 3-day prayer is said is final. Some will go to 7 days, some will go to 40th day. So that this one depends on the family. So we'll hear from the family what follows. But once we come from cemetery, we'll all meet in the house and say the final prayer for the day, and then wait for the other announcements regarding the funeral arrangements.
Thank you so much, and Sheikh Aramio, Naser's spokesperson for the National Chief Imam, giving us that exclusive education on what will happen here. It appears that will be very brief, and I must also say that the late Member of Parliament, until his departure yesterday, is in his 4th term in Parliament. He's already served 12 years and is in his final 4 years as 16 years before the incident occurred. He's been a member of a number of committees. He is a deputy chairman of the Energy Committee of Parliament, also a member of the Housing Committee, the Roads Committee, as well as the Private Members Bill and Private Members Motions Committee. A number of the MPs are here seated, preparing for the funeral to start as they condole and express their condolences and tribute to their late colleague who departed to beyond yesterday. I see, let's start with the leadership of Parliament. I see the second Deputy Minority Whip, Honorable Richie the Champon, here in company with Honorable Alfred, second Deputy Majority Whip here. Honorable Richie the Champon, thanks so much for your time. You are here with your colleagues this morning. First of all, let's start by saying condolences. How is the majority and your colleague MPs from both sides taking this news from yesterday?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. This is a very big blow to the majority caucus and Parliament as a whole. Well, we just began 2026. Nobody expected that this sadness will hit the caucus. I know this hassle of going for by-election and this kind of attacks on individuals is not the best. And if you remember, when we were rising, he was the person who moved the motion for the work plan of GMPC. So it also he was in good health. Though he has some challenges, that is personal issue that we can't discuss them. But nobody expected that it will happen at this time. So it's a very big blow to the caucus. Many of us were at the constituencies, so we have to arrange and get many members, as you can see, to come and then pay our last respect to our colleague. So it's not a good news for us.
Thank you, and we wish you all the condolences we can think of. The regional minister, Honorable Sam George, is here. Honorable, we express our condolences first. I'm just wanted to know if you have any personal relationship with the MP beyond him being a member of the majority caucus in Parliament.
Well, in the last Parliament, Honorable Naser was our Vice Chairman and I was Secretary of the caucus, so we worked very closely. And
Greater Accra
Caucus, yes, we're the largest caucus. And then in this current Parliament, when Honorable Nilante, who was our chairman, left, he became chairman. I was still secretary until my appointment as minister, and then Honorable Ashai Odamtin replaced me as secretary. So I've worked very closely with Honorable Naser. He's a big brother. He's a big pillar in the region. He was not just our colleague in Parliament. For those of us in Greater Accra, he was our father, chair of our caucus. We worked very closely with him. And barely 4 weeks ago, I was with him and his wife having some other conversations in my office. So this is someone I knew very well. This is someone who has been, has shown us the ropes when we got into Parliament to meet him. Like I said, 4 weeks ago when I met him, there was absolutely no indication that he was going to leave us. And so it's a sad period and a sad time for us. And my deepest condolences are with his wife, his children, his son, who I met a few weeks ago as well. It's a tough one. I mean, it still feels surreal that Honorable Naser, soft-spoken, action-oriented, is no longer with us.
Before I let go, I was told yesterday that he's one of the people, as you said, in the Greater Accra MP's caucus, all of you look up to, because he's one of the long-serving MPs, and he serves as that yardstick for a lot of you to keep the attrition level in Parliament, especially in the Greater Accra region. This must be a big blow to yourself and others.
Absolutely. Honorable Naser is our most senior member of the caucus. After him is Honorable Doyo. And then after that, my crop of MPs come, our year group. So Honorable Naser was our big brother. He's a pillar. You can't take it away from him. I mean, and he held a critical constituency. Nima is a solid part of what our hold on the region is. And so as a political party, as a parliamentary caucus, we're shocked. This is it's a big blow. It's not something that we can run away from. But we can only give God all the thanks for the gift of his life and pray that Almighty Allah grants him Jannatul Firdaus.
And we express our sympathies as well. Honorable Samuel Nate George, as Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram. I see the former chairman of the NDC, who now serves as the Chief of Staff in the office, the political advisor to the Vice President, Professor Jinana Opokwajiman. Honorable, the late MP is in his fourth term now. I want to guess that when you were in office as national chairman, you might have worked with him in the early days of his political career going into Parliament. What are your fondest memories of him?
Well, let me say that it is true that I worked with him when I was national chairman of the party, and he was contesting for member of parliament for the Ayawaso North constituency. What I saw in him was that he was a man of humility, very unassuming, very, very, very down to earth, very connected with his constituents, and above all, a very resourceful person. Very resourceful, but very...
If you say he's a grassroots person, connected and very resourceful, what exactly do you...
What I'm saying is that he was an astute businessman. People who don't know, he owned a number of business entities. And at a point in time, he called me one day and said, Chairman, I have a number of filling stations across the country. Anytime you are traveling, just tell me where you are going. I'll direct you to one of them. When you get there, let the attendant call me. So for about a year to 2 years, he was putting fuel in my car free of charge anywhere that I'm going. And I thought it was me alone. Then later on, I got to know that he was doing it for a number of party leaders as his contribution towards the building of the party. So even in opposition, this is what he was doing. And so he has paid his dues, he has contributed immensely, he has kept the constituency for us. He has won with commanding percentage, and he has made the constituency a very peaceful one. You know, the constituency is a very, for want of a better word, sometimes very controversial constituency. Sometimes embroidered with confusion here and there. But he has brought some calm demeanor. His leadership has brought some calmness in the constituency. And we have seen both progressive development of the constituency in terms of development, and also in terms of the party. We have seen progressive increase in terms of the party's visibility, strength, and the contribution to our electoral fortunes in the general election.
Ampofo, thank you so much. And
I just want to wish that the Almighty Allah grant him Jannatu Firdaus, and also comfort the widow and the children, and pray that we will be able to use a very peaceful means of getting a replacement for him, so that the development trajectory that he has started will continue and his legacy will be maintained.
Thank you so much. And Honorable Ofosu Ampofo is advisor to the Vice President. Honorable Patrick Boama, I'm sure the late MP must be a friend to you as well as he is to other members of Parliament. You have any fond memories of him, any personal relations with him?
Thank you very much. Let me use the opportunity to express my heartfelt condolences to the family, the wife, and the children. First of all, on his party, NDC, and his constituents, Ayawaso East. I got closer to Honorable Naser because he was friends with a very good friend of mine called K.T. Wilson. They both lived in Japan. Because of that, we became friends and was exchanging pleasantries in the Japanese language. Secondly, I became friends with the wife when she contacted me to be representing their company. You know, they used to do a lot of business in fuel, trading, a lot of gas station businesses. So I used to do a lot of legal work for them. Thirdly, I was very close to him because of the work he did on the Energy Committee. The Energy Committee, till his demise, he was a vice chair, and I've always been a member of it. For some reason, I believe that he was giving the NDC some technical advice within the downstream sector, because from 2013, he's always been on that committee. And I'm telling you, the last report that I saw in Parliament on the amendment to the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, he was a signatory to it on some realignment of some provisions of the Act. So he was somebody that was very useful to his party, very useful to the committee that he served from 2013 to 2025. And I believe that we lost someone who was very calm and affable, related well to all of us in Parliament. And it's sad we lost him. May his soul rest in peace. And I wish the family well and his party well. God bless the family. Thank you.
Well, this is John News Desk with me, Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson, and right coming from where James Aveji is the final funeral rites for late Ayawaso East MP Naser Toure Mahama underway, and we'll be going back to James Aveji for more on that funeral rites. Also coming up, we'll be having conversations about the Venezuela situation. These and more with me, Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson. This is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible journalism.
From them. Let me start with Honorable Roxin. Honorable, my condolences to yourself, the Majority Caucus, as well as all of you members of Parliament. This must be a big blow to your caucus, I believe.
Yes, certainly it is. I know that it's not been too well, but he's senior to me in Parliament. He's in his 4th term. He's a vice chairman to the Energy Committee. He's one member who is very diligent in attending to business in the House. Even to the very last day that we went on recess, just about 2 weeks ago, he was with us. And if you recall, he actually moved the report of the committee to be adopted. He moved the motion for the report of the committee to be adopted as part of the consideration of the estimates before appropriation was passed. And he was with us to the last day. It was very instrumental when we were considering the GNPC 2026 work program. And so for the past 1 month, we worked extremely closely together. So when I heard yesterday around this time that he wasn't well, it was too bad. Yeah, it was just too bad. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of interesting or beautiful things about him, as you are also sharing with us. For those who may not know him, in one word, how will you describe him, and how would his void be filled within the majority?
I've actually known him before he came to Parliament. We grew up together in Mahama. We live in Mahama together. So he was our senior brother. That's why those of us from Mahama call him Naser. Before he went to Mecca, he became Alhaji. So we've known each other for so long, for nearly 40 years. And so I joined him in Parliament. We used to live in Achimota. He lived at Mile 7. I used to live in Achimota. He had businesses there. So I know the wife very well versed in our party matters. So it's such a big blow. And so I can.
Thank you so much. Our condolences again. The Majority Chief Whip, Honorable Roxanne Nelson, Dafamako here, and the second Deputy Minority Whip, Jerry Ahmed, is also here. Honorable Jerry, you are quite new in Parliament. I've been hearing some good things about the late MP. What was your relationship with him and your fondest memory about him?
One thing you can say about Honorable Naser is his posture. He's an extremely calm person. He doesn't mingle in any unnecessaries. He's very focused, and he has a very good personal relationship. Beyond that, I have known him as the chair of the Greater Accra Caucus. So the Greater Accra Caucus is a combination of both MPP and NDC. And he's been very forthcoming. I mean, one of the times I remember asking what the regional minister is doing, because when the previous regional minister was there, he brought us together a lot. He said he had invited her to ensure that a meeting was called, and he came back to me to give me feedback. In fact, he even invited me to a subsequent meeting, but I was not available to attend. Anybody will tell you that Honorable Naser was a very, very calm, respectful person who didn't really matter about partisanship. What for him mattered was a cordial relationship, and that would be one of the fondest memories of him.
Thank you. Our condolences to you and the other members of Parliament as well. And that Honorable Jerry Ahmed Saib, who is Member of Parliament for Waja, also the second Deputy Minority Whip, speaking to us. I've seen the Chairman of the Energy Committee, Honorable Emmanuel Kwesi Bejra, also seated there, the man he has deputized for on the Energy Committee. Let me try and see if I can get a word or two from him. Honorable, our condolences to you. I'm just wondering, where were you yesterday morning when the news came in, and how did you receive that? As hearing that the man who deputizes for you on the Energy Committee was no more.
Well, let me, first of all, my condolences to the family, especially the immediate family, the wife, the kids, the entire constituency, as well as my committee, the Energy Committee, Parliament, and the NEC fraternity, as well as Ghanaians. Honorable Alhaji Naser was my deputy. In fact, he deputized for me for the whole of the last year. He's a pillar of our committee because since he came to Parliament in 2013, he has been on that committee. So he's the longest serving MP on that committee. No wonder when we came to the 9th Parliament, he was made the vice chair to the committee. So the trust knowledge of or the historical knowledge of the committee, he has it for being there for the past 12 years, clearly shows that he has a lot of knowledge in it. And so yesterday morning, I was going to see a project in Cape Coast. In the morning around Kasua, I saw somebody send me a message to find out it was true. And I said, oh, it wasn't true. Because as far as I'm concerned, even though his health is not the best form, he wasn't that sick for him to pass on. So quickly I called one or two people, called the family, and all the relatives that were close to him. It was confirmed that he has passed on. And quickly I informed my colleagues on the platform, that's my committee, that indeed our vice chair has gone to be with Allah. It's a big pain, it's a painful loss to the committee because as we speak now, we have a law, that is the amendment to the agreement, the petroleum agreement for tallow oil and its partners, which needs to be looked at. And he has the historical knowledge of it. And so we thought we were going to meet this weekend. But as it is now, we have to postpone it and to maybe 2 weeks' time for us to meet. If it had been there, he would guide us that, okay, when they were passing it, this is what they did in 2013. But it's not the world, the Lord knows better.
I'm sure yourself and other members will miss him and his work.
Of course. He's the type who will not talk. He's a very quiet person, reserved person, and he doesn't like where there is fight. He always tell you that, look, listen, you come and go. And so let's do things right. And when they were in opposition as a member of the committee, they all agreed to allow things to progress. So he's always as a mediator between us and him and the opposition members. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
And you heard the Honorable Chairman of the Energy Committee, the Honorable Emmanuel Kwesi Bajra, there, also sharing us with us fond memories of the late Member of Parliament for Ayawaso East constituency. We just noting that his mortal remains is making its way to the burial ground now for the final Janato prayers for him before the final interment in Medina. And that is what is happening. In your shot, you see a number of the believers in the Islamic religion are standing on their feet, both men and women. You look at the arrangement, the men are in front while the women are standing right behind them while the Janato prayers is going to be ushered now for the late MP for Ayawaso East constituency, the late Honorable Naser Toure Mahama, who passed on on the 4th of January 2025, just yesterday at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and the final burial rites are currently happening here at the National Morgue here at Kanda in Accra. That's what we're witnessing now, and we have been informed that the burial will take place in Medina, and then the rest of the funeral rites would continue in both his family house as well as his here in Nema, as well as his private residence in Chad, the Spintex area. If you're just joining us on Joy News, we are on the live coverage of the final funeral rite of the Member of Parliament for the Ayawaso East constituency, Honorable Naser Toure Mahama, who passed on yesterday, and his final funeral rites are currently happening here at the National Mosque here in Kanda in Accra before his final interment in Medina. We've been speaking to a number of his colleagues who've been sharing very, very, very fond memories. Very, very fond memories of him with us. Some describing him as a very calm politician. Others say he's one of the most honest politicians they have worked with. Former chairman of the NDC. We have to stay in silence now and observe proceedings. And so there you have it. It's all said and done now. The prayers are done, and it's time to take the Honorable MP, late MP for the Ayawaso East constituency, to the final burial grounds in Medina here in Accra. The final Janatu prayers have been said, and to that signal, the very, very rather brief burial ceremonies here at the National Morgue, National Mosque in Kanda in Accra, and that will be it. And the final burial rite, interment, will be done in Kanda, and you have for the lack of a better word, pallbearers trying to get his mortal remains, and it will be conveyed to the final interning grounds for the final interment. And for those joining us, we're covering the funeral of the late Member of Parliament for the Ayawaso East constituency, Honorable Naser Toure Mahama, who passed on just yesterday in the early hours, Sunday, at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Afterward, some family members